Hello, everyone. Kerry here from Homestead How and the Carnivore Diet Movie with my friend Jeff DeProsperous. Jeff, how are you doing?
Not bad, Kerry. Thanks a lot for having me here.
Yeah, thanks. I was really looking forward to speaking with you again. Just a real quick note before we jump into it. If it looks like I'm dripping in sweat and I look kind of weird, it's because I was just wearing a dog costume for the last hour and a half or so for the movie theater. We're playing Paw Patrol, so it was a nice little workout. I couldn't have done it pre-carnivore, but that's that. But Jeff, you're looking great. I know. Since we spoke last time, you had chemo a couple days ago, right?
Yes, I did. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kerry. Yeah, I had chemo on Wednesday this past week at the hospital, and I just got my chemo bottle removed on Friday late afternoon.
Hmm. The last time we spoke, so for those of you that aren't familiar with Jeff's story, we did a video together before and we got into it pretty well. Jeff, I don't want to make you rehash the whole thing, but I was hoping maybe because there's probably a lot of folks on here that aren't familiar with you or maybe didn't see that other video. Could you give us a little bit about your background and kind of your story, maybe a briefer version of it?
Sure. Actually, thanks, Kerry. And before I begin, I know I just want to say hi to all your subscribers. And if any of my subscribers, we're hoping to have it streamed from there, but a little bit of technical difficulty. But I just want to say thank you, especially to your subscribers, Kerry. When we did that first video 7 days ago, I was just absolutely blown away by all the comments that came in from your subscribers and even my subscribers later when I was posting some other videos in there. Just thank you so much, everyone. Everyone that has tuned in and has been following along. You truly have been a blessing to me. That's hence my channel's title, Blessings on My Journey. Everyone's been a blessing, all their comments, and I just want to thank everybody. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed in terms of entering this YouTube world. I've never really done this before, so I apologize if I'm sounding and looking pretty amateurish, but I would love to answer a lot of those comments from the previous video, and even today, moving forward. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out. I have Jeff's channel in the description and below. And don't be nervous or say any apologies, Jeff. Honestly, sincerely, you did a great job. I haven't had I feel like it's one of the most important videos I've done. I've done some more research after we spoke last time, and it's like there's a lot of people that just could benefit huge time just from having your example, seeing what you're doing, what's working for you, and a lot of the research you've done before. Uh, Incredible number of comments that came through on that last video. So I was really looking forward to following up with this. We had limited time before, and there's always questions I missed and didn't ask you. So yeah, I've been looking forward to jumping in again with you and hearing your story some more and asking some more questions. So yeah,
Once again,
maybe if
thanks, Gary. Yeah,
for
so
sure.
you want to know my sum up my story? That was the original question.
Yeah, if you could.
Well, about a year and a half ago, I got diagnosed, Kerry, with stage 4 colon cancer. Probably it was the end of March, beginning of April 2022 when I was fully diagnosed. And when I got fully diagnosed, I was told I had stage 4 colon cancer that metastasized to the liver. Liver's fully covered, and they deemed me inoperable, incurable, palliative, terminally ill. So it was very shocking to myself, to my family, and I've been battling this for the past year and a half. I started chemotherapy end of May 2022, and I did 27 rounds of chemo all the way up to the end of May 2023. At that time, I asked for a chemo break because I think my body needed it. So I had June, July, and August, this past June, July, and August off. And I just started up this past 4 weeks, the middle of September. Actually, I started up round 28. I just finished round 29 this past Wednesday to Friday of chemo. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But in terms of treatment care, I just want to add in, I'm doing traditional chemo because I kind of have no choice at this point when I'm stage 4 and I'm told, if you don't do anything, you could have months to live. And, they say with traditional care like chemo, it's just going to maintain my quality of life. And if you Google it, the stage and type of cancer I'm at, with proper treatment, I could have 9 months to 12 months to live. So that's what I was told. That's the journey that I embarked on. But I also integrated quite a few other health choices along the way. And one in particular is diet and carnivore. So I think that's how you and I connected.
Right.
And hopefully I summed everything up for the audience here today.
Yeah. Could we just quickly touch on I keep saying quickly, like feel free to spend as much time as you want. I don't want to make you feel like you got to rehash everything we talked about before, but so the carnivore thing, you started out doing chemo for the first couple of chemo sessions and you were still doing the standard American diet. And then your friend, who's just an awesome guy, by the way, I've emailed with you and him a couple of times in between. What an amazing person he is. Told you about carnivore and some other videos to watch, and he started going down that sort of did a bunch of research. So, could you talk a little bit more about that and how carnivore has changed things for you and sort of the regimen you came up with?
Yes, absolutely, Kerry. Like you mentioned, he's now my best friend. Other than my family members, my wife and my two sons, uh, his name is Dwight Garlow, and he's an old coaching friend of mine. If everybody doesn't know my history, I've been a high school phys ed teacher for 21 years, and with that comes the territory of coaching many, many sports. And I met Dwight about 6, 7 years ago when I was coaching his daughter high school soccer, and he joined in on with my coaching staff and myself. Anyways, when I went off work sick, I actually went off work January 31st, 2022. Before I diagnosed myself, like I said, end of March, beginning of April. When he found out I was off work, sick, especially when he found out later that I had cancer, right away he said, "Hey, Jeff, I'm sorry to hear that you're off work. Can I send you some videos?" And I wasn't sure what type of videos he was going to send me. Next thing you know, I'm getting these YouTube links. And it's, I think the first video he sent me was Dr. Berg. And Dr. Berg he was interviewing a fellow from France who had stage 3, 4 colon cancer, very similar to mine, and how he totally went in remission by following the carnivore diet, ribeye steaks, and he also did fasting. And that's another healthcare choice that I decided to do. Fasting is what I integrated as well, along with the carnivore diet. So back to my friend Dwight Garlow. Dwight has been guiding me along the way. He's an Indigenous fellow that lives over here in Ontario. He lives on the reserve, and he's very proud and passionate of being Indigenous. And out on the reserve, they call him Medicine Man. I basically been joking around with my wife and family that, hey, before I do anything in this whole battle that I've been on this past year and a half, I have to check with Dr. Dwight. And I guess I'm not the only one that calls him Dr. Dwight, because the whole reserve calls him Medicine Man out there.
Hmm. Yeah, I had a brief email with him, just shouting him out, just saying what an amazing person he is to be able to share this information with you. And he was kind of telling me the same and how he's helped a lot of other people in a similar manner. It's quite
That's
amazing.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
He helped a lot of people, Kerry, and even with himself. He started with himself, obviously. He said about 4 or 5 years ago he got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Like many people in North America, some people don't even know it. We're pre-diabetic, and there's a lot of people that struggle with type 2 diabetes. Dwight had this himself, and he also got told he had one spot, a pretty good sized spot on his liver, and he recently lost his father-in-law to cancer, and he wasn't too happy with the traditional care for his father-in-law. And he said when he got diagnosed type 2 diabetes and that spot in his liver, Dwight basically took it in his own hands that he wasn't going to go the traditional medical care avenue or route. And he decided to start with diet. And I believe he did start with the ketogenic diet, and he just kept getting stricter and stricter and stricter. And it turned into carnivore. And the success he had, he eliminated that spot from the liver. Okay, he didn't let any doctor touch it. It eliminated, and he's not diabetic anymore. So that's how he started, and then he started helping others. And I'm just truly blessed, Kerry, that the other person that he helped is now me. And anyways, that's about it with Dwight
Yeah.
there.
Shout out Dwight. What a life changer
Yes,
that guy is.
absolutely.
Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit last time, but your regimen now, it's just crazy to me. It really sunk in with me before, and like since we spoke last, I'm just thinking like, oh, it's like Jeff is starting his fast now prior to chemo in a couple days, and now Jeff's doing chemo, and then we texted and talked a couple times, and I'm like, are you eating anything now? And I've just been like thinking about the whole process. It's just kind of crazy to me. Can you touch on that a little bit? Like, so what is your regimen exactly now?
Okay, so I really am just starting up my regimen strict again. This starting up in September because starting chemo again. On my break, I was doing everything except chemo. But to be honest with you, I'm pretty hard on myself, Kerry. I don't think I worked as hard in June, July, and August. So now in my mind, in retrospect, I'm looking at what worked from May 2022 to May 2023. And by the way, I know something worked because I had 5 scans from May to May, and every single scan I had shrinkage. Every single spot in my liver. I think I had probably, like, the doctors can't even tell me. I always joke around and I say I got about a dozen to 16 tumors on my liver, and every single one reduced in size. My CEA number in my colon, which is CEA is a tumor marker for the colon cancer, went from a number of 187 all the way down to 14 before I took a chemo break. So that tells everybody that my primary tumor is also shrinking. My oncologist at the chemo cancer hospital, he he said to me when we got to the 4th or 5th scan throughout the year, he says, Jeff, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never really seen shrinkage like this the same every single scan. He's seen it the first one, sometimes the second, but normally after the first scan, if chemo's working and there's a little bit of shrinkage, normally all the tumors just stay steady until chemo stops working, and then he puts me on a different line of chemo and stuff like that. So he's never really seen what's happened to me in the past year in terms of shrinkage.
That's remarkable. That was one question that I missed asking you before. I mean, you kind of mentioned that you were just feeling so much better doing your regimen versus when you were doing chemo on the standard American diet.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Thanks. So I kind of went off there, Kerry, and then
yeah,
because you asked me about my regimen, and I was just about to say, I knew what worked from May to May. I wanted a chemo break. Medicine man Dwight wanted me to take a chemo break because he thinks, he believes in the cancer being a metabolic disease, and we can probably heal it on our own. And he thinks chemo is really hard on the body, and he was really proud of me also with my regimen. My regimen from May to May was, like I said, I did do the standard American diet for about 3 rounds of chemo, the first 3. But then after that, from round 4 all the way to like round 27, I started ketogenic. As the months went on, I got more and more strict carnivore. I've been carnivore for the past year now. With, the odd time I fluctuate from 95% carnivore, 5% keto to, sometimes I go a little bit more keto. From week to week, it changes, but that was my regimen basically. And fasting was another very, very important part of my regimen. There was a woman that I hooked up with or connected with from my naturopath, and she was from the same hometown, and I still have coffee with her quite often. She had stage 4 colon cancer, spread to the liver. Hers actually spread to the lungs, in the lymph nodes, in different areas. And she had the same oncologist, naturopath. She didn't really do too much. She wasn't that much ketogenic. I think she was more Mediterranean, pretty clean eater. But she had a regimen where she fasted. So if her chemo was on Wednesday, just like mine, she fasted Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I started with that especially when I switched to ketogenic carnivore. I started with the 3-day fast. It helped with symptoms from chemo. But then the more and more I learned about fasting, and there's many doctors on YouTube that I learned from, because Medicine Man Dwight, he connected me to the right avenues, the right doctors when it comes to fasting. The more and more I learned about fasting, and I think actually I'm reading a lot by Dr. Walter Longo from Italy right now. He actually agrees with the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the 3-day fast, but he actually has come up with some type of recipe or regimen where it's 48 hours before, 48 hours after chemo. So a total of 4 to 5 days. And by fluke, that's exactly what I built up to. I've been doing 5 days, Sunday evening to Friday with chemo in the middle on Wednesday. So I'm doing pretty much exactly what Dr. Walter Longo has suggested for chemo patients in terms of the benefits of the symptoms that a patient would have, but not only that, the benefits of starving those cancer cells and and really reducing when I'm a big fan of Thomas Seifert, Dr. Thomas Seifert and Professor Ben Bickman in terms of lowering your glucose scores, your fasting insulin, your fasting glucose, and even eliminating or suppressing, I should say, glutamine. When you're fasting, you can really suppress the glutamine because Dr. Thomas Seifert, he basically has taught me that glutamine and glucose are those two ingredients that will grow those tumors. So diet, carnivore, fasting, exercise is another thing. If you have anyone who wants to talk on that later, Dr. Dwight, Medicine Man, had told me, Jeff, you got to get exercising. You got to get moving, as much as possible. And then I do have a naturopath that I visit along that helps me with chemo. And, he also gives me other different types of therapies that I use. An osteopath that helps with blood flow and the way my organs are set up, and also supplements. So I think there's about 6 or 7 total different pieces to my regimen there that have been helping me along the way.
Man, it's just I've been doing a lot more research since we spoke last time. Like Professor Seifried, he's got some great videos. A lot of these guys, Bickman as well. I was hearing one of them say something like, there's some studies on this. There's some research. There's some good stuff on it that I've never heard about before. But just the fact that when you're fasting and in ketosis, the chemo it seems to be more effective, or you need less dosage of chemo or something. Does that ring true at all? Or am I
Yeah,
getting that right?
it kind of does. It does ring true. And I know Ben Bickman, I was just watching some of his videos this week. He talks about the benefit of a cancer patient using ketones as an energy source. He talks about that quite often. And he says, because tumors will use glucose and glutamine as energy sources. And he says he's never read, because some people argue that ketones, after a while, cancer cells will use ketones as an energy source. But he says he's never seen that proven in humans. The only time Ben Bickman has seen that proven is in vitro in a petri dish where they can start to strive and grow off of ketones. That's the only time he's seen it. But he basically, I've heard Thomas Seifert say it, and I've heard many doctors say it also in the past, that tumors, Thomas Seifert is dead. He's dead set that tumors can't survive off of ketones.
The other remarkable thing with you, Jeff, I said this last time, but I got to say it again, is had you not said all this to me, I'd be like, there's no way this guy has cancer and just got done doing chemo again. You don't. What are you
Thanks.
seeing? Like you look great. You're glowing. You're full of energy. It's kind of remarkable. I know you mentioned last time when you go in through chemo, you've got some chemo buddies and some regulars that you're there with. For the folks that aren't doing this thing, are you seeing? Or I guess that was my other question too. Are any of your chemo friends or buddies that are there doing anything similar to what you're doing?
I wish they were. A lot of people are getting intrigued. I think I mentioned it earlier in my videos that I'm a living test tube. So, there's a lot of people that get intrigued and listen, especially the people that I meet that have cancer. But when they start seeing the success that I'm having, they start questioning things. And that's when I start getting the questions, and people want to meet for coffee and hang out and hear things when I'm doing a little more. Yeah, you know what, Kerry? Thank you for saying I look good. I actually looking at myself right now. I have a little bit of a glow because here in Southern Ontario, I think like you said in Wisconsin there, it's October. October 1st, but it's like a summer day.
Yeah.
I've been running around doing a lot of sports things with my boys today, but I had to just before we came on here, I had to do a little bit of lawn care. So I was outside. I tried to get some vitamin D naturally. So I am glowing a little bit and I am feeling the best right now compared to Friday afternoon when I got my chemo bottle off. People in my channel, I did a quick couple shorts. Wednesday, I did a short. You could see the chemo dripping in me. I was at the hospital for 6 hours, starting to kind of feel worn out and down. I had a horrible day Thursday, and well, horrible, not that horrible, but horrible to me. Like I didn't feel like I was optimal on Thursday. I was really drained. I was feeling nauseous, and then Friday, right before I got the chemo bottle off, I still was feeling a little bit nauseous. The chemo bottle came off. It gave me a little bit of excitement to have that removed from me. And then yesterday, Saturday, I was starting to build back up my energetic self. And today I'm feeling great, to be honest with you. I've been on the go with the boys all day. So
Have you had a
that's
big
that.
ribeye yet since the?
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely, Dwight. Sorry, Kerry. Friday night, basically right before my bottle came off. Actually, my Friday regimen looked like this: is I had to go to my naturopath to get hyperthermia right before the bottle came off because hyperthermia basically it enhances the chemo, and it kills cancer cells. It's supposed to. It's mainstream in Germany. So I went from having hypothermia, and then I was driving to get my bottle off, and I had to drive back home because hypothermia is an hour out of town. And as I'm driving back home, I looked at my bottle, pulled it out, and I noticed that I was empty of chemo. So I decided to reward myself. I stopped at A&W and I got four beef patties. I had my Redmond fine salt, shook it on there. I killed those four burgers, got the bottle off, came home, actually picked up one of my sons from school, met the other son at home, and my wife was just finishing up work. And I decided I had four huge 1 pound ribeyes defrosting from the night before. I sparked up the barbecue Friday because, again, that's what it started to feel like summer Friday here in Southern Ontario. I made four ribeyes, fatty ribeyes, that Dwight and we use the same butcher. And then Dwight actually hooked me up with a bunch of sausages that he had specially made. They were beef, fat. There was a heart and kidney mixed into those sausages. So Friday night we had a feast. And it wasn't, you know what, to be honest, I ate what I could. You know, I'm coming off a 5-day fast. It's always tough. We can talk about that later if people have questions. It's tough. There's ways that I have to gauge myself coming off a fast to get my digestive system going again and working. So I ate the best I could. Yesterday, I was strict carnivore yesterday as well. I'm pretty much always strict carnivore, besides the odd keto treat or something like that once in a while. And then today I've been on the go doing sports all day. I'm feeling really good. And my wife just told me she went grocery shopping for the week for the boys for lunches. She says she bought a whole bunch of meat. She says when we're done here, I'm going to spark up the barbecue, and I think I'm going to cook up a whole bunch of burgers and some of those beef sausages that Dwight hooked me up with as well.
Oh, nice. So one of the questions I had was you're like fit and healthy. I just hit 6 months on carnivore, and when I got down to kind of my goal weight, I started getting really, really hungry. So it's just remarkable to me that you're fasting for 5 days. How is that going? Are you continuing to lose weight, or are you able to maintain, or do you just eat a way, way more on the off week when you're not fasting?
That's a good question, Kerry. And I think Dr. Anthony Shafee said it. I think you and I were, I know the fact that you and I were tuned in on Thursday night to Dr. Anthony Shafee's channel. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to him because he's my Michael Jordan right now in my life. And he was talking about how he actually, I think he might have corrected it because I think it was Dr. Mindy Peltz. I follow her on YouTube. She said the ketogenic diet actually mimics fasting. I think Dr. Anthony Shafee says something along the lines of fasting mimics the ketogenic diet. It's the other way around. But whatever it is, they go hand in hand. When I first started fasting, and I started fasting right along the time I was getting into the ketogenic diet, it was tough, and I lost a lot of weight right away. and a lot of it was body weight. But by the time I, gained, sorry, not body weight, body water, sorry, I should say water retention was a lot that I lost. I actually got down, I was, before I got diagnosed with cancer, I was as heavy as like 211 pounds. And, when I got diagnosed with cancer, by not sleeping and stress and a whole bunch of things, that's a different story, what caused my cancer. I was down to about 190, 195. But when I started fasting and doing the ketogenic diet, the pounds just started coming off. And I got as low as 148 at one time, but that was a lot of water retention. By the time I figured out my diet and fasting, I got up to about 160. And I've been for the past, so I've been on this journey for a year and a half. But in terms of my regimen, I would say really restricted for my regimen for a good year. I've been that this past year, I'm 160, 158 to 162. When I start fasting on a Sunday night, let's say I'm 162 because I'm coming off a week of eating a lot of fat, a lot of carnivore. I'm 162. By the time I go to chemo, I'm like 161. Sometimes I'm still 162 on the Wednesday, from the Sunday to the Wednesday. By the Friday, I might be 159, but most of the time I'm 160. Like I cannot eat for 5 days and stay the exact same weight now.
Mm.
I feel like I've really taken control of my body. I, uh, I saw photos of you, Kerry, like you, it's all over the place where you're 262 and 162. That's amazing. That's totally amazing. I'm blown away by that. And even myself as a high school phys ed teacher, everyone thought I was fit and healthy and everything. You know what? I knew I was too thick. I knew I was not where I should be. And that's another thing Dwight taught me is, Jeff, when we get into this, we're going to get you to your high school. He refers it to as your high school weight. I would say more like your grade 12, first year university weight, where I was optimal. I was playing university soccer. I'm there, and I've been trying to get there for the past, I've been teaching for 21 years, probably for the past 18, 19 years. I've been saying, because every year you see yourself, when you get into your career, you see yourself gaining weight, gaining weight, gaining weight. And I've been trying to get myself back to my university performance weight. And it sucks. I have stage 4 cancer right now, but my body is where I want it to be, and I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Did the fast? So it's interesting what you say about Dr. Chafee and fasting being in ketosis or carnivore, because I have experienced that. I did every diet before carnivore, but at one time I did a 3-day water fast, and then I did the longest I ever did was a 5-day, which you've cranked out 28 of those already.
Yeah, I've cranked that pretty much. Yes.
Yeah, and it was crazy. But right around day 5, I was like, I feel really good on day 5 of that fast. But I also was like, I got to eat something again. And anyways, long story short, that was the closest I've ever felt to carnivore until I got on carnivore. But it wasn't sustainable because I had to eat something. So I can see
You
what
know,
Dr. Chafee said. It seems
Absolutely.
very
And you
similar.
know what, Kerry, just to expand on that, how you said on the 5th day, you're actually feeling the best. That's exactly how my 5-day fast go. You get through the first day and then the second day, you're like, I got to keep working on this. You kind of feel like eating a little bit, but you don't, because you've done 5 days over and over again. I get to the Wednesday, I go to chemo and I'm just focused on that. I don't even think about eating at all. And then by the Thursday, Friday of my fast, I totally don't need food at all. And actually, on the Friday night, like I said, when I'm excited to cook those ribeye steaks and barbecue, but sometimes I feel guilty. I'm like, why don't I just go Saturday and Sunday too?
Hmm.
Because I know I can do it. I've done 7-day fasts, like in the summertime. I did a couple 7-day fasts. Dwight wants me doing a 21-day fast, and I think I might. You know what? At first when he taught me this like a year and a half ago, when he was first sending me those Dr. Berg videos. I think, no, there's no way, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do a 21-day fast. And now I think I can do it. I could probably break it up with some bone broth here and there, and I think I could do it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it's so amazing to me that you're able to do this at your weight now. That's just crazy. Because when I did that 5-day fast, I wasn't quite at the 262, but I had a lot of body fat. And so in my head, I'm like, I'm in ketosis and I'm burning through that body fat. And now I still have some fat left, but most of it's gone. So I feel like I'm hungrier more on carnivore. So that's crazy that you're
No,
doing that.
absolutely. Yeah, you know what? The beautiful thing is, Carrie, when I start eating, I kind of it's a mind over matter thing. I kind of know in my mind I can, because I'm basically eating for a week and I'm not eating for another week. So I eat as much as I want. I think especially I think Kendi Berry talks about it all the time. He says like calories should not exist, right? And they don't. Like I'm kind of embarrassed. For 21 years as a high school phys ed teacher, like I was teaching calories in, calories out, and I was teaching how to calculate your caloric intake and all that. But it shouldn't really matter. Like the human beings, like we don't heat up a calorie enough to burn it. Like, you know what I mean? Like our bodies aren't made that way. So like we shouldn't be counting the calories. And now I'm like that. Like when I'm eating, it doesn't matter. If I eat 5,000 calories of meat one day, I'm eating 5,000 calories of meat.
Right. Well, so you're feeling really good right now, and now you've got the week, right, where you're just eating normally,
Yes.
because it's your off week for chemo. You did it on Wednesday. Do you feel like say Tuesday or Wednesday comes around, do you even feel like you have cancer? Do you just feel normal? Do you feel anything different at all? Because like I said, just looking at you and talking to you throughout the week, it's not noticeable.
No, that's a good question. You know what? From round to round of chemo, sometimes it's different. Especially when I first started my journey, May 2022, I was finding from round to round, month to month, I was feeling different on my off chemo week on certain days, especially with some of the symptoms that kicked in. But as I got into my regimen more, those symptoms started getting less and less and less. So the odd time, chemo does affect your bowel movements quite a bit. Sometimes you could have diarrhea, sometimes you could have constipation. So I was dealing with that a little bit. But lately, now that I'm back on my regimen and I've done 2 rounds of chemo, like round 28 and 29, I had a great the last 2 weeks before this last one, where my bowel movements were good. Yeah, you're right. In the middle of the non-chemo week, absolutely. Especially when I'm busy, I sometimes I'm like in the middle of the day, I'm like, oh yeah, I have stage 4 cancer, quite often.
Hmm. Hey, so there's a lot of people watching right now. If you guys have questions, put a big Q next to it in the side, and we'll jump in and answer some of those questions for you. I had another question. So, well, I guess one thing I wanted to say too, everyone check out Jeff's channel, Blessings on My Journey. And you mentioned at the end of our last video that you look, since you've been diagnosed with cancer, you look at everything like a blessing, which I thought was just amazing. And everyone can learn from that. Having more gratitude and looking at things that way is awesome. The other thing you said too, that so many things we talked about before just really stuck with me. But one of the things I thought was awesome was your family and your sons are kind of going along on this journey with you, and they're doing carnivore and they're thriving, and that was pretty cool. And then the other thing you said too, which was just kind of heartbreaking and irritating. I did another video and I mentioned this in the other video, but you do these. You're doing this fat. You couldn't be doing any better. Like, what else could Jeff be doing given your situation? You're fasting. You're doing carnivore. All of the other things, the exercise and all that other stuff you mentioned. But then you'll go in and you'll do this chemo treatment, and they come around with cookies and Ensure. It's just
You know
it's
what, Kerry? It's crazy because, yeah, when we did my first recording with you like 7 days ago, last Saturday, and I shared that with you, and then you did a short and you talked about it a little bit too. When I was just at chemo on Wednesday, that was fresh in my mind, that info I shared with you. So I'm sitting in my chemo chair, and when you're sitting in your chemo chair, I got like 5 or 6 people to the right of me. There's another room that has chemo people in there. There's a couple more people to the left of me. I look to my right, and just a couple seats down, the nurse just a handful, 5 Ensures to a chemo patient, stuffed, and because he loves them, and he stuffed them in his backpack, and that was it. And then the one guy to the left of him is taking out Tim Hortons. He's got a wrap. Tim Hortons is the coffee chain here in Canada, kind of like Starbucks. Not even close to Starbucks. I'm a big fan of Starbucks. Sorry, Tim Hortons. But anyways, he's got a wrap there, and he's eating. The guy beside me. I also heard another conversation of someone beside me talking to a nurse, and he had exactly what I had: colon cancer stage 4, and he said, "Yeah, you know what? My wife's constantly telling me what to eat, and I have to eat all these different vegetables, and I'm staying away from red meat, and I'm eating lean meats and fish. So I'm hearing all this. I'm like, I'm not saying a thing because I try not to open my mouth as much as possible. I just kind of listen and look. And if anyone hears me talking to maybe some of my nurses, then and they ask me questions, then I say something. But I was listening to that, that man tell the nurse how his wife's got him eating lean meat, total opposite. And then he was talking about his supplements and this and that. And anyways, he overheard me talking about my success and some of my regimens. And then that's when we get engaged. I'm never going to overstep my boundaries and, hey, you're doing that totally wrong.
Right.
But it was just, I was looking around, everybody's eating, and they're eating the wrong things. And just that, I swear, I should have took a video of it, Kerry. The nurse had 5 Ensures, and she's giving it to the guy, and he's stuffing it in his backpack. Is exactly what I told you the first time, and I was seeing it again this past Wednesday.
Man, it's just so frustrating how everything's so backwards, because it's not like this regimen and all this stuff. I mean, a lot of this is new to me, but the fact that cancer thrives on sugar, that's not even really disputed, is it? It's just like, I know Thomas Seyfried's done those videos on it, but
you know what? I happen to have a really good oncologist, and he's on board with everything that I'm doing. He's not good. He won't say that what I'm doing works because he'll just say there's not enough research, obviously. And he's a chemo doctor, but I've heard so many oncologists and cancer doctors and just say, I've actually heard other oncologists tell cancer patients there's not enough research on that stuff. There's not enough research on diet. There's not enough research on fasting. There's not enough research on what food's good for you. Yeah, I've heard it, and I know a lot of people when they ask their doctors about that, cancer patients, they're not on board, and they're not supportive, and it's kind of discouraging for cancer patients to have doctors like that. But yeah.
that was something that was really kind of touching that you had said before is you had this you really wanted your story to be heard, and you're like, you recorded the first video for me, and you're like, Kerry, watch this, but please, I want my doctors to see it. And you weren't talking about these other doctors you just mentioned. You were
No.
talking about your online doctors like Dr. Chafee and some of these other guys. Well, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, you really want to get this out there. And I know you said before, you're not a doctor, you're not a nutritionist, and you're even in the chemo, you're not telling people, hey, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. But um, what is your kind of thought behind that? You seem to really want to get this message out, or just share your example.
Yeah, absolutely, Kerry. And I'll tell a quick story. I got a few close friends. You mentioned a lot of them, my family and Dwight and this and that, but I have a couple more. And one of my close friends, I was talking to him in the summertime, and I was talking about my fasting and being carnivore. And he was actually, because I haven't been sharing this. Like, I know I'm on YouTube now, but I haven't been sharing this with even my closest friends. And when I was telling my one buddy on the phone, I haven't eaten in 5 days. I'm in the middle of a 7-day fast. And when I come out of it, I'm doing strict carnivore. The first thing he says to me is that what your doctor told you to do?
Hmm.
And almost like he was questioning what I was doing. And I said, no. Yeah, like my chemo doctor or my family doctor, like, I don't even talk to my family doctor, but my chemo doctor, no, absolutely not. And not even my naturopath hasn't even told me. My naturopath is a little more on board with me treating it like a metabolic disease. But I said to my friend, I go, I got 12 doctors on YouTube. That's roughly like I'm probably up to about 16 that I really follow on a day-to-day basis. I got 12 to 16 doctors I follow on YouTube that they've told me, I've learned that this is what I need to be doing. And yeah, that's, that's the one thing. And I think Dr. Anthony Chafee said it to me, when you did your 24-hour live thing after you showed my video. I was totally shocked by that. He showed my video, and then Dr. Anthony Chafee actually talked to me. He addressed me. I was blown away by that. He's like, Jeff, he basically said, Jeff, you're gonna have a lot of doubters. You're gonna have a lot of negative people out there, even haters, and you got to ignore them. Those people are just they're not out. They're not looking out for you. And like he basically gave me that advice on your 24-hour live thing, and that's what I've been doing. Like But the thing is, there's nothing that people can say, like, I'm the test tube. Like, to me, to have shrinkage for 5 scans in a row, I've done 8 scans now in total, but when I was on my chemo, 5 scans in a row. And I think when people look at me, like, I was just outside doing lawn care and I had my shirt off because Paul Saladino taught me that you got to get the vitamin D in, right?
Yes,
Right.
natural.
So, and I got my neighbors walking by and they're looking at me and they're asking me how I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm doing great. Like, really? Are you sure? Are you okay? I go, yeah. Do I look like I have stage 4 cancer? And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I think sometimes people think I'm like making this up,
Right.
but when I'm optimal, I'm optimal. And I think, like, everybody that has what I have, pretty much, and I'm not going to say everybody, I'm going to say majority, they're pretty beat up on the chemo regimen of every other week. They're pretty
Yeah.
drained. They're not doing much. They're taking it easy. They're doctors, they're oncologists, are telling them take it easy, don't lift things, don't exercise, eat lots of meals, small meals, do what you can do. I haven't listened to any of that. I haven't done any of that stuff. Take it easy, eat lots of meals, small meals, this and that. I once I get my chemo bottle off, takes me maybe a day to get back into it, and I'm back into it. Especially when I surround myself, Kerry, with the right people, the positive people. And my 2 sons and my wife, they're my biggest fans of positivity. And I have a sister and brother-in-law and Dwight. They add to that, and they're my team. And I like my team, and I'm sticking with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I Dr. Chafee said another thing too on that video that kind of stuck with me. He's so good. Like, I know you love him too. I do too. Like, just off the cuff, and he was like, "Well, that's in the literature, Jeff. What you're doing." He even quoted, I think he said it was in 2019 or something. They did a study, and fasting and being in ketosis drastically helps with chemo treatments. And he was like quoting some study or something too. So that was pretty
Yeah,
awesome. But
yeah. That's the thing with Anthony Chafee. Like, I don't know any doctor that has, like, that I've listened to, that has done so much studying and research on certain topics than him. Like,
mhm,
and he's a neurosurgeon. Like, the way he knows the body, and like, so he can pretty much uh, answer any question and back it up with evidence, or you know what I mean. And not only that, he studies other doctors. Like, he refers to Ben Bickman all the time, and
yeah,
he refers to Thomas Seifert all the time. So, and that's what these people became doctors for that reason, to help
yes.
others, right? To help people. And when I look at Anthony Chafee, he's doing that every single hour of his day, and that's why I admire him so much.
Likewise, and the other part of it too is he's practicing what he preaches. Look,
Yeah,
he's doing all of these amazing, and what you just said too, like, you can throw anything at him and it's like he's done the research on it. I think I know that better than anyone. I did like 3 videos with Dr. Chafee where the whole goal of the video was challenging Dr. Chafee. We're going to throw some curveballs at him. We're going to throw some arguments against carnivore at him. And I searched far and wide for every argument against carnivore, and threw it at him, and he just knocked every one of them out of the park. We weren't even close. And it wasn't just like him saying stuff. It's like, no, check this study from 2018, or this doctor said this here or this here. It was amazing. But the fact that he's doing that is also remarkable, because I think I attribute everything to carnivore, but he's been doing carnivore for 5-10 years now. And his mind is just, he's like human 2.0 or something. I've said that before.
absolutely. No,
I'm
he's like a
sticking.
superhero. You called him a super. He definitely is.
Yeah. It was really cool because last time Jeff and I had the video, you'd said you'd love to talk to these guys more. So I think since I reached out to Dr. Baker, and I think you get something scheduled with
Yeah,
him?
I did, and I'm totally like. And Dr. Baker, thank you, Kerry. Like, he writes the Bible for the carnivore diet,
Yeah.
basically. So he's what everybody follows: Anthony Chafee, Ken DeBerry, all those guys. So I'm super excited, and I do follow and listen to Sean Baker quite a bit. But I'm super excited. On October the 12th, he's reached out to me. October the 12th, we set the date. He's doing an interview, whatever you want to call it, interview podcast with me on that day. So I'm really excited to pick his brains about what I'm going through, and even just to talk with him about the carnivore diet and see if I can grab anything there from him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I will gladly promote that and shout it out in whatever I can do. Is there anything else I can do or we can do? I know you really want to talk to Dr. Chafee too, and I reached out to him and he was like, "Yeah, let's do something." So I know he's pretty
Yeah,
busy, but I think we could get something going there. One other idea I had, I wanted to run this by you, Jeff, is I've been
sure.
getting some incredible comments since our last video from other people that are going through cancer, or that have gone into remission, or that have done carnivore and cancer, quite a few. And I was thinking, like, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I want to run it by you. Like maybe doing like a sort of a roundtable, or doing like a live stream, cancer and carnivore. And maybe if we get a couple people, yourself included, if you're interested, to do that, maybe we could also get some of these good doctors on there, or maybe one of them at least.
Oh,
Um,
that'd be awesome. A round table would be great. I just have to make sure that I'm set up properly and I have the right software on my computer and this and that, because I was a bit in a panic today.
yeah,
I'm learning this YouTube world, Kerry, and I think it's super awesome. Um, the connections that you're helping me with, it's helping me. And you've been a true blessing to me, along with hooking me up with these other people. But the biggest thing is I started this my channel, encouraged by you, because I'm ready, and I'm ready to help others. Um, and reading all those comments that we got a week ago truly tells me that what I'm going through is a blessing, and I need to make the best of it and help, and talk to other people about it, because just there's so many messages that made me feel good in terms of, hey, Jeff, keep doing what you're doing. You're an inspiration. I wish I knew all this before. There's all these types of comments that I know I'm making a difference in some other people's lives, and that's the main thing. The second thing is, hey, maybe this is going to benefit me, but the main reason why, and that's kind of part of my like morals and values, and my faith that I follow, is that I want to help others as much as possible.
that's amazing. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. So, like this whole carnivore diet documentary I'm working on, the whole purpose behind that too was there's so many hopeless people out there. For me, it was depression and anxiety. Like I was hopeless, but if you get a cancer diagnosis, there's a lot of hopeless people out there with that too. I was trying to
Yes,
do some research after we spoke last time. I'm like, how many people are going through just chemo right now? And I don't know if these numbers are right, but when I Googled that, it said something like 1 million people right now are probably going through chemo. And I'm thinking, how many of them just know of this? And again, we're not saying these million people do what Jeff's doing, but wouldn't they like to possibly know that this is an option? This is something that's working incredibly well for Jeff, and it's something to look into. So uh yeah, I think it's so important
absolutely.
sharing your voice and sharing your story. Um yeah. So anyone that has questions, please put them in the sidebar. This is always you're gonna find this is a lot of fun too, Jeff. Once you start doing these, you're doing great too. You got it
Oh,
all.
thanks.
The
Thanks.
software, everything.
I'm a little, I'm going to apologize again I'm hoping some of my subscribers, because they know you, Kerry, and because I've been directing everything towards you. So I'm hoping some of my subscribers are tuned into your channel right now watching this. And I'm learning, and I apologize I couldn't get it streamed to mine. But hopefully they're on there. And I know you have so many subscribers, Kerry, that like I said, I felt bad that I was reading all those comments and I was ready to reply, but I'm learning like how to do all this. So I'm going to get there, and hopefully today, if people are have some comments and questions, we can address them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I would encourage you too. Don't stress about the comments too much. It's really
Okay.
nice that you're worried about them. I had the same conversation with Bill. I think Bill's on here too. But Bill, right at the beginning, he did
Hi,
his
Bill.
first video. Yeah, he had like 1,000 comments. He's like, "Oh, what do I do? I gotta like answer all of these." I'm like, Bill, people, everyone watching this right now will agree. They want you to focus on yourself and your health first. It's great if you
Okay,
can
thanks.
comment
Thanks.
back or put a little heart next to it, but uh, focusing on yourself is way more important. I
I
used to,
planned on Wednesday. I planned on bringing like an iPad with me to chemo, because I'm there for so long, um, that I would bring it up. But then the way it is when you're in some institutions, it wouldn't connect to the Wi-Fi and this and that. So that's why I planned on doing it there. But I did know, Kerry, that we were leading up to this live stream. That I know that if people want to even mention those comments again for a second time, we can talk about them right now.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see. I'm just scrolling through here on the comments on the side, looking for
So you can see
questions.
them, but I can't see them, right? The comments, just you.
Yeah, just me, but
Okay.
I can post them up on the screen for us both to see
Sounds good.
while you
Ooh,
get
kind of
through
like
some.
Anthony Shafee does.
Exactly. Yep. And you'll be able to do the same. So if you do a live stream with this
Cool.
StreamYard in the future, so it's cool, but it gets it's distracting too because I always hate missing them, kind of like the comments. But if someone has a good question, I hate missing them, and sometimes they're just like flying by. So, but let's go. We got some good ones here. Some really good comments too. That's the other crazy thing, is the carnivore community. Just amazing. So supportive.
Go
So
Dwight. That's a nice one. That's a
yeah.
good one. I hope Dwight's tuned in. He's probably
Yeah.
not. He's a busy guy. He's a busy guy.
Right.
To be honest with you, and he's busy helping others most of the time.
That's actually a comment from my mom there. Good timing. Mom's watching tonight.
Nice. Hi, Grandma Man.
she was she was I was just texting her before. I'm like, I got to get out of this dog suit and jump on the live stream.
The Lord's placed you together. I like that one. That's from your mom. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, this is from my friend Adam, Carnivore Today. Jeff, at what point do you think you need to be at in order to stop the chemo for good, or is it too early to make that call?
Yeah, that's a good question. Carnivore Today. Dwight, my best friend, he asked me that every day. Like, I think when I told him I was going back on chemo in September, he's like, I thought you weren't going back to that. And I think I went a year. This is what I'm kind of analyzing. And if I keep having success, I had a year of success on chemo when I was like, if I didn't do anything, I would have months to die because I let this cancer get out of control. But right now I started up a second series, basically around 28, 29. I'm probably going to go to Christmas for sure. I got a scan at the end of November coming up. And then Christmas break, and I might have some family time where I want to break. I think I'm going to be requesting breaks a little more often. I'm not going to go the full year, and then if I'm having success in terms of controlling these tumors, I think I'm going to have breaks more frequently and try to really enhance my regimen when I'm on those breaks in terms of diet, fasting, exercise, especially when I'm on those breaks, and see what my body can do. I would love to Carnivore Today get to the point where I can say, hey, I'm going to go as long as I can, as I think, without chemo. Dwight, he's taught me this, that the indigenous people back in the day, they only use plants for medicine. That's why he's carnivore, because and chemo is a plant, right? So that I need that right now. I need that medicine right now. I'm hoping, and I think that I won't eventually, but you never know. That's my plan. I hope I kind of answered it the best I could, Carnivore Today.
Yeah, good one. Okay, here we go. I got a whole bunch lined up. We have a super chat from Sarah. Thank you so much, Sarah. Every penny we get from the super chats go to the Carnivore Diet documentary.
Carnivore movie. That's awesome. Thanks, Sarah. That's great. Yeah.
So this one says, Jeff, you are beating cancer. I'm using Palomedicinia's carnivore diet to fight my triple positive breast cancer. Stabilized and still hoping to shrink tumor. Best year of my life, starting my farm and refusing standard of care.
Amazing. Amazing, Sarah. Huge shout out to you. Paleo Medicina, it looks like. Am I saying that right? Somewhat right, Kerry?
I don't know. I took a shot at it myself. I haven't heard that one before.
Paleo Medicina Carnivore. That sounds amazing. That sounds, it's carnivore. And it seems like you said here, you're starting your own farm in terms of what you're eating, and you start your own farm of standard of care, basically. You said you're fight my triple positive breast cancer. Yeah, that sucks that this has happened to you, Sarah, but it seems like yourself, you've taken control, and that's super awesome. And thank you for giving me that little bit of encouragement, telling me that I'm beating cancer. I hope I am. I'm trying my best, and it looks like you are too. So thank you, Sarah. I wouldn't mind connecting with you later on. Maybe someone like her, like someone like this could be part of our round table or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone that's interested in
Yeah.
that, because I've been having a lot of comments, just shoot me an email, homesteadhow@gmail.com. I'd love to get that together. I think that would be so helpful for so many people. And I'm sure we could get Dr. Chafee to join that as well. Uh, all right. And what you just said, Jeff, too, like, I don't think there's anything you could be doing. Well, what else could you possibly be doing? That's just what's really amazing.
Well, to be honest with you, if there's one other thing, I could probably be like flying somewhere to meet Thomas Seyfried and knocking on his door and getting a little bit more on his regimen that he gives his cancer patients. In terms of, like, I know he talks about suppressing glutamine. I'm trying my best. Like Dwight tells me I'm suppressing glutamine when I'm fasting, and he's also done things like green tea and matcha tea is very good for suppressing glutamine because there's a chemical in there, EGCG. I might have said that backward, ECGC, that suppresses glutamine. And when I'm fasting, it also suppresses glutamine production as well. So Kerry, I don't know if you really were serious about asking that question, but I think there is a few more things I could do, and
No,
I'm trying to learn here.
I love that you said that too, because I was going to ask. So let's say we do the cancer roundtable. If you could pick anyone that would be most helpful to you on your journey, would it be Professor Seyfried, or would it be Dr. Chafee, or would it be someone else?
I think it's going to have to be a combination of all of them. As much as I do really, really admire Anthony Chafee. He's the carnivore specialist. But if there's a little bit I need a little bit for me personally,
Right.
to benefit me. I would like Thomas Seyfried, Professor Ben Bickman for sure. Kendi Berry, I think he would be great too, as a carnivore and just as a medical doctor, like your family doctor. That
Yeah.
I think our family doctors need be a little bit more like Kendi Berry.
Yes.
So that would help big time.
Yeah. Well, it's a goal. Let's see what we can do. It's interesting because since we last spoke, Professor Seyfried was on 5 Minute Body with Rena, who I've become pretty good friends with. I just did a video with her, so we have a little. We're one. It's like the Kevin Bacon thing. We're 1 degree away, so maybe we could get Professor Seyfried, and since he's so much into the cancer stuff, I think that could be great.
For sure.
All right, let's see. Oh, here we have kind of an off-topic question. How do you reheat your steaks when you cook extras? I'm going to answer this one real quick because I for some reason I got like 20 questions. Yeah, this is what I do. So I did that video the other day. I made up 4 steaks. I ate one the day of. The other 3 that I cook, I do this reverse sear deal. I will cook them more rare than I normally like to eat them, with the thought that I'm going to have to reheat these things later. There's a little bit of science to it. I don't know. I'm trying to perfect it, but I will usually use the air fryer. I hate putting them in the microwave like 2 days later. I hate that taste. And then there's all sorts of science with the microwave and bad stuff with that. I put them in the air fryer, super hot. And like I said, I have them a little bit more rare than I like. So it's going to cook them a little bit more, warming them up again. And that seems to be the best method for me. You doing anything like that, reheating steaks or making a bunch up in advance?
Quite often, actually. Because I think it was Anthony Chafee and Kendi Berry say, make a lot and eat to your full, and leftovers are good, right? They talk about that all the time. And even from Friday night, I was talking about those ribeyes and the sausage. And you know what? Just before I was doing some lawn care outside. There was a couple of those sausages from Friday night. It's Sunday, it's still good, but you know what? They're already cooked. I just grabbed them and I went outside and I started eating. I didn't even heat them up. That is even cold, because you know what? Beef cold after it's cooked. I find it great.
Likewise, yeah, that's a really good point. Certain types of meat too. Some of it tastes almost better. It's like, I don't know. It's different. It's different, but it's
absolutely.
I would rather have it. I would rather have it cold versus microwaved in many cases.
100%. It's like when we were in university or college, right? The leftover pizza the next day when it's cold. I'm sure everybody did that.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Nice. All right. Nick Vick said, "Hey Jeff, lots of support from your friends and family."
Nick Vick. Oh, that's a cousin of mine. I'm pretty proud
nice.
that she's that's awesome. Thanks, Nicole. I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna give a shout out to her because I've been talking to her all week, and she's been humming and hawing about changing her diet because she has a few ailments happening and this and that. And she sent me a photo this morning actually on my phone. And it was pretty awesome. She was prepping for the week because I think she's going to embark. I kind of said to her, try the 30-day challenge of being carnivore. So she went to a butcher this morning, and she sent me a photo of all the meats that she bought. Like I think they were vacuum sealed or whatever, but ready to go for meal preps for the week. So I think I'm pretty sure that's my cousin Nicole. So shout out to Nick Vick there. That's awesome.
Awesome. You're having that ripple effect. We talked about that in the 24-hour live stream. You get to inspire some people. Now Nicole's going to do it, and then 10 more people are going to do it. It's just going to keep spreading. It's pretty
No,
cool.
Absolutely.
Carnivore dog sitter Becky said, "You're doing great, Jeff." And then
Carnivore dog sitter. That's pretty good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My wife has been bugging me and the boys for a long time. We don't have a dog. I know you have a dog, Kerry. But we're thinking about it, and we're trying to, maybe by next spring we might get one. But carnivore dog sitter. It's funny. I was just telling my wife, if we're getting a dog, that dog's going to be carnivore for sure.
Yes.
Because we want the dog optimal as well.
Yes. There's Dr. Chafee again. He was talking about some study. Dogs live 10 years longer when they're carnivore. And I've been saying it for a while. I'm almost there with my dogs now. I have 2 dogs too. So it's a tricky thing. But yeah, every time my cutting board comes out too, they're getting ready. But I got to get it into more of a process.
One of your videos.
Yeah. I've heard so many good things from people with their dogs too, where the dog had arthritis and its fur looked kind of weird. And they start eating meat. It's just like the humans. The dog gets the glow, the fur gets shiny and stuff.
If anyone's listening, I know for a fact, and if Sean Baker's listening, he does a few videos on why our dogs as pets should be carnivore. So Sean Baker, if you guys look it up on YouTube, he does a bunch of videos on that.
Yeah. Jennifer, Texas Carnivore, said, "Thank you, Jeff, for coming on Kerry's channel. Jeff needs to write a book on his story if he hasn't."
Jennifer, thank you. You're not the first person that's told me that. I told you about my friend that did the 3-day fast. Her name's Ronnie Campbell. If she's listening, shout out to Ronnie. But she wrote a book. I think I was calling it My Miracle Journey or something like that, but I'm misquoting it. So it's My Miracle something. But she told me I need to write a book. Dwight's told me this. My sister, who's an elementary school teacher, is constantly saying it. I always joke around that I'm a high school phys ed teacher, and I never really liked reading and writing. So I decided to, and I'm a coach, so I'm pretty good at talking. So Jennifer, you know what? Thank you for the advice. I love it. But maybe someday, I can take a look at all these videos and write a book. Maybe we'll see. Thanks.
Well, I can't skip Mom's comments. One more from Mom. Loved your costume. Just real quick. This is what she's talking about.
Nice.
That was me for an hour and a half. That's carnivore awesome. Style. If I wasn't carnivore, Jeff, I would have passed out. I was so
Hey, you're talking about that's in front of your Monticello theater. Your mom's talking about that. That's your theater. I'm going to go totally off topic here, Kerry, because I promised my son Dante that I would ask this question because they know you guys own a movie theater, and with movie theater comes along popcorn. And, that was one of my family's favorite snacks for a long, long time. Obviously, in the last year and a half, I haven't touched popcorn. We won't even go there. But Dante he said, ask him if he sells pork rinds at his movie theater.
Dante's awesome. Dante's awesome. Yes. Awesome. Yes, we do.
Nice.
We have grass-fed beef sticks. They're not carnivore, but they're really clean keto. There's like less than 1 carb in them. And we sell I got spring water. We had purified water at first, but now we have spring water, and now we have pork rinds. And what's really cool is we're selling a lot of it. I get that question from a lot of people. Don't you feel guilty selling the popcorn and the other stuff? And honestly, I do. I was at one point, I was pouring a soda for this person, and they were kind of overweight and healthy. I'm like, man, I feel bad. But it kind of goes back to like you were saying in chemo, like I'm not going to tell this person, you got to do this, you got to do this. I hope people will see my example and they'll want to change and do it. I hope there comes a day when they come to the theater and we have nothing but beef sticks and pork rinds.
That'd be super awesome. And I say the same thing to my family. Like we're gonna be coming to these events and stuff we're attending where they're selling snacks, and the snacks are gonna totally look different. And I really think, I'm hoping it's 5 years from now, but definitely 10 years from now. I think once the whole world starts learning what food does to our body, that we're gonna have to change no matter what.
Yes. Yeah. especially for the children, the next generation of children. It's
Yes,
just
yes,
getting
that's what
worse
it's
and
for.
worse for them, hooked on sugar, lifelong sugar consumers. It's got to change. Margaret O'Connor said, praying for you to have a complete remission. You are so inspiring.
Thanks, Margaret.
Lots of just great comments. D. Lee, thank God you are blessed, Jeff. And he's
Thank you,
another
Peter.
wonderful doctor. This
Oh
guy's just
yeah.
great. Dr. Tony Hampton, love him. Can't stay, but here's a great book. It has a protocol to consider for keto fasting, hacking chemo, using ketogenic diet, therapeutic fasting, and a kick-ass attitude to power through cancer treatment. Nice. Have you
I
seen
love
that
the
one yet,
fact.
Jeff?
I know, but I love the fact that that doctor added the word "kick-ass" in there.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome, Dr. Tony Hampton. I've been watching a lot of your videos lately with my sons, because in that video I first did with you, Kerry, you mentioned him, and I've seen a few, but now I know you're a big fan, Kerry. And to be honest with you, Tony Hampton, he's very knowledgeable, and I'm definitely going to check that out there. Hacking chemo using the ketogenic
Yeah.
diet for sure. Yeah.
I wish I found him earlier. I always shout out Dr. Barry, and it just happens to be because I found Dr. Barry first, and I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. But Dr. Tony Hampton is amazing as well. So many good doctors, but Dr. Tony Hampton's amazing. He's one of the people I talked to for the documentary. He's going to be participating in the documentary, and he's in Chicago, which is not too far away. So I'm looking forward to filming him for the documentary at some point soon. All right, we got question for Jeff. From John, can he do the next live from the backyard, weather permitting, or the boys' sports rooms? John from Ancaster asking.
That's another buddy of mine, actually. My close people aren't supposed to be calling in. This is for everybody else. You guys can talk to me whenever you want. This is another coaching buddy of mine, and he's a true blessing to me. John, yes, we can definitely do that for sure. Thanks for the comment.
Nice. Carnivore Stan said hypothermia is good for killing off old, ready to expire cells, so it makes sense that it and fasting would kill off cancer cells.
Yeah, Carnivore Stan, thank you. I'm gonna, you know what? I don't know if that was just a typo or whatever, but my brother-in-law has told me many times, Jeff, when you're talking about hyperthermia, you got to make sure you're saying hyper. Hypo is different, and I'm not sure if that was a typo, Carnivore Stan. It's hyperthermia. It's mainstream. I do local regional hyperthermia through my naturopath, and here in Ontario, there's only 2 naturopaths I've been told that have this hyperthermia machine. It comes from Germany. It's local regional, so it's a probe. I'm on a waterbed, and there's radioactive waves that it's from the bottom, and the probe goes on my abs. And yeah, you're right. It does. It's supposed to be killing off expire, the ready and the expire, the cells and the cancer cells. And it helps heat up the chemo as well, hyperthermia. In Germany, it's mainstream, like I said, and they have full body hyperthermia machines there. Thanks, Carnivore Stan.
Hey, Jeff, I want to be respectful of your time too. I can't believe we're already an hour and 10 minutes. Are you good for a couple more?
No, I'm good for a couple more for sure.
Okay. Kel said, Jeff,
I really like the comments. Sorry.
Yeah, it's great. I'd say the carnivore community is awesome. Here's one I really like, and this is kind of a question, but also a statement. You should be proud, Jeff. Jeff, are you proud? Do you ever take a look in the mirror and like, this is kind of cool what I'm doing here? Like I said, you couldn't be doing anything better than what you're doing right now. And the fact that you're fasting for 5 days is just incredible. Like
thanks. You know what? Thanks, Dealey. I am proud. I have my moments. I'm not gonna lie, Dealey. I have my moments. I try to have less of those moments. Like I go to bed every night, falling asleep with stage 4 cancer in my mind, and I wake up every single day. And pretty much every single day I wake up and I think I'm dreaming because I have stage 4 cancer, and that's been my life for the past year and a half. So I'm not gonna lie. I don't just walk around like you see me here like I'm feeling good. If you saw me, on Thursday, I wasn't feeling the greatest. I was worn out, and especially Wednesday after my full day regimen, I was pretty worn out. But yeah, I am pretty proud. But more importantly, I'm proud of my immediate family, especially my 2 sons.
Right. Yeah, I
for,
think
for
it's just
dealing
important.
with dealing with this. Yeah, for having the dealing with this. That what I'm going through.
Right. I just said something similar to our friend Bill. He had his nurses come in, and his heartbeat is down for the first time. He's seen all these improvements, and he's always like, the YouTube comments, this, that. I'm like, Bill, just look in the mirror and take a second and just be proud of yourself and be happy for what you're doing, because it's remarkable what you've done. You took control of your life. You're doing the best thing you possibly can given your situation, and you're doing the same thing, Jeff, too. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone asked, how tall is Jeff? 160 pounds for what height?
Good question. This TD, whoever TD is, they're doing the BMI here thing. On a good day, I'm 5'10.5". You know, that's pushing it with shoes on. I'm 5'9". I'm 5'9.5". I'm 5'9.5". So I
It's
think
crazy because that's why it's like, man, it's this fasting thing you're doing is so impressive to me, because you are precisely the same height, and I say the same thing. 5'10". Okay, I'm really 5'9.5",
so
and
you're
I'm the same
162.
weight.
Yeah,
162.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
162, 5'9",
absolutely.
same
And you
height,
know
same
what?
weight.
In the past, in the summertime, this past summer when I was off chemo, and I need to keep doing this even on chemo, especially next week. I need to I'm going to be going on a lot of bike rides, but I started lifting weights again this past summer. And when you start lifting weights, obviously you're going to build some muscle mass. So I was gaining a little bit. I think I maybe got up to like 165, 167, but that was me really pushing it. And I'm not trying to gain a lot of muscle mass. I'm just trying to tone and really just try to be as optimal and functionally perform from day-to-day life as possible. So I think, my weight is good. A little bit more would only happen when I'm strength training to the most, which I need to do because muscles are very good at fighting cancer as well.
Jennifer, Texas Carnivore, asked, what was Jeff's diet like before Carnivore? Was he vegan? And if so, did he eat cruciferous veggies like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and so on?
That's a really good question, Jennifer. Jennifer TX Carnivore. My diet before, that's a great question. Growing up, my whole life, up until, well, university, I guess, is when I first changed my diet. But growing up, raised by Italian immigrants, with a mother, she was a stay-at-home mom, homemade meals, and healthy meals. My mother, she's not, when people say, "Oh, you're Italian, you must eat pasta and bread every day." No, we ate pasta and bread pasta once in a while. Homemade sauce. My mom is really huge on veggies and meat. A lot of meat and a lot of veggies, and very, very healthy, clean, very clean eater. My mom is a very clean cook. She taught me all that. She taught my wife all that. But when you go off to university, things change. I still had those meal packs that my mom was giving me, but obviously you get bad habits in university, especially when you start introducing alcohol, to be honest with you, with a diet, a lot of processed foods. Then when you get married, things change a little bit more. And when you have kids, even more. I think when we first, Peter and Dante, when they were younger, especially like right now, they're 15, 13 years old, but when they were younger, and we had right from when they were, 3 years old, I had them in sports. And, I know when Peter's for instance, 6 years old, Dante's 4, our typical Saturday would be 2 soccers in the morning, 2 hockeys in the afternoon, 2 basketballs in the evening. I'd have 6 different sporting events in one day. We're going all over the place. In between, I'm eating Subway for lunch. I'm maybe eating some type of poutine from A&W or McDonald's for dinner. And I thought I could do it because, I'm active. I'm a phys ed teacher. I'm burning it off kind of mentality. But I was busy, busy, busy. And my weeknights were like that too with my kids in sports, where we weren't doing too many home cooked meals often. It's kind of just whatever you can do to survive. So I did that, for the past 15 years, even as a phys ed teacher, my oldest son, Peter's 15, I've been doing that. And I think I truly believe that lifestyle contributed to this. And when you said, was I ever vegan or vegetarian? Not this, 3 summers ago, summer of 2021, just leading up to when I diagnosed myself, March of 2022, the summer of 2021, and that was coming out of the pandemic. I decided to become a vegetarian and give up meat, because that's what we kind of been told to do, right? Give up alcohol, give off meat, give up all those things. I'm glad to give up alcohol now the past year and a half, obviously, but giving up meat was the worst thing. I became a vegetarian, And I don't think I was like a clean vegetarian because I still eat those bowls of chips at night because that's vegetarian. I think Dr. Anthony Shafee talks about that. He's like, you know, or I think who else, I can't remember who else I was listening to, but they said, I think it was Paul Saladino and Anthony Shafee talked to each other. They said that, vegan is the first step to carnivorism. And, but a clean vegan, they will have success. Even a clean vegan will probably have success with someone, battling cancer because it's about the eliminating of all the other garbage, the processed foods and all that stuff, right? But the 6 months that I was a vegetarian, I was eating bread, pastas, vegetables, fruits, chips at night. You know what I mean? I honestly, I was feeding my cancer from all the research that I did because I had this colon cancer has been growing in me probably for the past 5 to 7 years. I was feeding it with glucose and insulin resistance. That's another thing, that I've learned from the doctor. I was feeding my tumors. So Jen, I was that. And then, but once I diagnosed myself and, I got sick and I diagnosed myself and I did all the research and I was blessed by Dwight and my family members that support me now. In terms of cruciferous veggies like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. You know what? There's a lot of things like you can talk about. Like I'm probably saying this wrong. Sulforaphane, an ingredient in broccoli that's supposed to fight cancer. I was taking that. I was taking a pill because there's a lot of bad chemicals or toxic. I was going to say chemicals that they spray on veggies, but there's a lot of toxins in plants like Brussels sprouts. Dr. Anthony Shafee says there's 136 cancer-causing agents in a Brussels sprout. So, I know all this. I've stopped taking that one broccoli pill, the sulforaphane that I was taking, just because the more and more I read about things and I start becoming more and more strict carnivore and eliminating anything that comes from plants other than my chemotherapy that I have no choice on right now.
All right.
But
Carnivore Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we were talking about sugar and cookies and sure, that's also a problem about people in retirement homes, the residents who fed sugar-filled plants.
Yes. You know what? To expand on that, you know what? I think I may have mentioned it, but, God rest his soul. My father just died September 8th. Okay. Just like less than a month ago. And, I started chemo. We buried my father, the following week. And we buried him on a Tuesday, and I started on chemo again on a Wednesday, around 28. But my father, he when he got checked, when my sister and I checked him into the hospital, it was sad to see the food that they were giving my father in the hospital as he was starting to get more and more sick. It was a big problem, and the same thing in the retirement homes. What you're saying, you go to these places, and it's all carbohydrates, it's all glucose, it's all sugar. Okay. And, and they just want to give people pills all the time. So, my father, I saw this happening when he was passing away since, I was dealing with that over the summer as well. And that's probably why I wasn't as strict as I normally am because my father was sick. But anyways, that I agree with you, Carnivore Ron. The residents are fed sugar-filled plants. I agree.
And then MK was asking, was Jeff's cancer discovered incidentally?
Well, yeah, thank you, MK, for asking that. Incidentally, like when I went off work in January 31st of 2022, I didn't sleep for November, December, January. Like I'm talking like maybe 1 hour a night for 3 months in a row. And I was feeling nauseous at work. And I needed to take time out. I didn't know what was going on with me. I've never felt like this ever in my life. And, my doctor made me take a leave of absence. I went into school and I got permission from my principal and the school board to do that. And I was basically home February and March diagnosing myself because I knew like my family doctor said I was mentally depressed and had anxiety. And I'm like, what? I've been kind of like this my whole life, like energetic and ready to go, ready to conquer the world kind of type person as a high school phys ed teacher, coach, or whatever. So I'm like mentally depressed, and I did feel like I was mentally depressed because I didn't sleep for like 3 months. So I was diagnosing myself for a couple months at home. But by the time I did diagnose I basically diagnosed myself. I had to beg my family doctor to give me an ultrasound for one, to do a colonoscopy for another, CT scan. Like I had to beg for these tests. He said, "Oh, you're too young." Basically, at one time he told me to drink prune juice. Okay. So yes, it was incidentally, but like, I wish I would have took control. I wish I would have, I know you're not supposed to say in retrospect, but I wish I would have took control a little bit earlier when I wasn't sleeping, or even before that when I switched to being a vegetarian. Like I should have checked myself out then. Like why did I have to do that? Well, why was I feeling bloated after meals and stuff like that?
That was one of the big takeaways I had after your video. I did a follow-up video. I'm like, what do we learn from all of this? And I heard you say it, Jeff, and I heard Dr. Baker say it, and Lee Kopus from Carnivore Kent said the same thing. It's like you have to take things into your own two hands. It's like if you just sit there and you're a passenger and you just do whatever your doctor says, you're just drinking prune juice, and who knows how much further things would have gone along before. So,
No, absolutely.
all right, we got one more question here.
All right.
From Laura. Once you are in remission, do you plan to stay carnivore? Maybe you could write a book.
Laura, you're pretty optimistic, and I love it. Thank you very much. I'm incurable. I'm inoperable. That's reality. It's a reality check. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So, I don't know about that word remission. I don't really like to throw that out there, to be honest with you. Maybe call me old school, but, I'm a little bit realistic too. It is what it is, what I have. In terms of writing a book, I think this is my best avenue right now. If I could turn this into a book someday, I will, to help others, not to but I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, you're being very optimistic, Laura. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to answer that, Kerry.
Well, talking about writing a book for helping others.
100%. I'd do it if I had the time, for sure. 100%.
Right. Well, I think what you're doing on YouTube and sharing your story, you're going to reach a lot more people. Writing a book, that sounds like a lot of extra,
especially for a high school phys ed teacher.
Right. But
yes,
I love that your mission and you're passionate and you're fired up, and your main reason is you're like, you have this urgency. I want to get this out there because you want to help others. So I love you for that. That's amazing. Is there anything else I can do or we can do to help you? I'm going to try to get this carnivore roundtable together, and hopefully we get some of these cool doctors like Professor Seafried and Dr. Chafee together. Was there anything else I can do for you? Or
that'd be it. Like maybe Kerry, just like, like I'm not sure if my subscribers tuned in. If you can send me the video somehow, we can post it on my channel of this interview. I think that'd be great, just because I'm not. Bottom line is I'm not doing this for myself right now. Like I'm doing this for others. I think it is benefiting me to talk about this. I know, like, even like psychologists will say, like, you should talk to people about what you're going through, and it is benefiting me in a certain way. But I'm doing this channel for others, so I think that'd be great, Kerry, if you can send me that, and keep teaching me, Kerry, because I'm very green here when it comes to the YouTube world, and even with technology, to be honest with you. Like you saw it, like, and I'm not bad like for technology, but I'm calling on Peter to, like, hey, can you make sure that this is working on the computer and doing that, whatever, and calling my sons and stuff. So Kerry, you're the ultimate, like, I know before Carnivore, you're a YouTuber, and I see the stuff you do on YouTube, even like the way you like put things that come on the screen and titles and whatever. Like, if you can teach me some of those things, I'd be truly blessed and
100%. Yeah, please don't ever hesitate. I love
Thanks.
geeking out and talking YouTube, and I'd be happy to.
Sounds good.
I'd be happy to help for sure. So awesome, man. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really enjoyed talking to you. I've been thinking about you all week, and you have my phone number. Reach out anytime. But we got to keep this going. Everyone's got to check out Jeff's channel. Blessings on my journey. I love the shorts you've been posting. I've watched every single one of them. Go subscribe. Thanks. And leave him some nice comments, and yeah, we'll get together again. This is my big goal right now. I'm filming the carnivore diet documentary, but we touched on this a little bit before, Jeff, but we have all of these sections for the carnivore diet documentary: obesity, mental health, type 2 diabetes, aging, reproductive health, heart disease. I want to add cancer to it. It's so incredibly important.
That'd be awesome, Kerry.
Yeah, and I want to include your story in there for sure. So that's my big goal, and then my other intermediate big goal is getting this cancer roundtable together, and that would just be amazing if we could get Professor Seafried and Dr. Chafee on there with you.
Yeah, let's do it for sure.
I think it'll be great for you, and I think it'll help a lot of other people that'll end up watching it. So awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. Is there anything else you want to shout out or say before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's it. I want to thank everybody again. I'm just totally blown away by the past, like, for me making that first video for you, Kerry, and my this whole like past week and a half of like the world I've entered in terms of sharing my story. I want to thank all those your subscribers, and mine, and everybody that's following along, and people that are praying for me. I want to thank you, and just everyone that's, the well wishes and everything. Please, 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 please. I I also want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Love it. Thank you, Jeff. You're a blessing on my journey for sure. I'm really glad we're friends now, and I look forward to talking to you some more. So, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for the questions, and everyone have a good night.
Yeah. Good night. Take care.